Welcome back. This is the Heartspire Saga alternate timeline, and this is a May the 4th prequel titled Old Wounds, taking place 8 years before the Battle of Yavin. The wounds of the Clone Wars and now Imperial Rule run deep. Today, on the planet of Faskar Prime, the independent streak of the Faskians tested as Imperial Rule tightens its grip. A group of disgruntled individuals have started a protest outside the Imperial Governor's mansion. The Imperials have not taken kindly to these actions and have dispatched Stormtroopers to quell the protest. Fear makes people do stupid things. And with that, we're going to have our players introduce themselves and the characters they're going to be playing. We'll have James first, then Chris, and then Jim.
Well, like Joshua said, my name's James. I run the channel Jarl of Goats, where I currently have several alternate universe campaigns going on for FFG Star Wars. And today I will be playing the grizzled veteran Bengar Ryan. At this point, he is 53. He served as a battalion leader in the Clone Wars, and after he saw his friend who was a Jedi massacred during Order 66, he spent the last 11 years hunting down every member of his battalion that committed the act and killing them one by one if they hadn't died already. Now he finds himself on Faskar Prime, just in hiding. He oftentimes wears a veteran's hat that says he serves in the Clone Wars and carries around an aged backpack, and people almost assume he's just a senile old officer.
Hey guys, I'm Chris, as Josh also stated. Today I'll be playing Bertali Jupel, a female Jedi Makashi duelist who ended up surviving the Clone Wars due to dumb luck of her squad already being dead. And she's 21 now because she was just freshly instated as an apprentice, and now she's just kind of watching from the shadows, hoping that there will be a glimmer of hope for the future.
And my name's Jim. I run a channel that I call Jim the GM. I've got lots of games right now that are mostly D&D, Mutants and Masterminds, 7th Sea. Play a lot of that right now. And I'm playing the Mon Cal Spy Slicer Yendit Jadwa. And while everybody is paying so much attention to this riot that they are either being a part of or is being brought toward them, I am doing very slicery things, enjoying this great distraction that I didn't have to cause. And I'm plugged in slowly, just trying to get a little bit more information that I could sell, trying to get a little bit more coinage. I really don't care who I have to sell it to or who I've got to get it to. I am just more interested in making some money right now.
All right, and with that, setting the scene a little bit more, they're in front of y'all are kind of in the square. Some of you have said you're like at a cafe or something like that, but imagine a big diplomat square type place in front of an Imperial palace. We are in the mid-rim, so it's not like Coruscant. It'd be more like Naboo or something along those lines as far as the terrain, and this is a well-to-do world for the most part. But here in the square, there's started to be gathered. There's probably a couple of hundred individuals at this point. The majority of them are near humans. The Faskians are humans by appearance, basically, close enough anyway. And just some unusual hair and eye color choices that is just enough for Imperial prejudice to sometimes be slanted their way. But there's also a decent number of aliens in the crowd. Mon Cals, Quarrens, Rhodians. This world has a decent aquatic space to live in, a couple of water cities, so there's a decent population of those types of species in the area as well. This particular protest is coming about in regards to the fact that the Imperials have the Imperials in control of the capital and whatnot have basically stated that the aliens will be not allowed in certain zones near the Imperial spaceport and near the capitals in certain parts of the capital city, as there have been some odd happenings of late. Some people think there may be a terrorist group at work on the planet, and the Imperials are taking advantage of that to tighten their grip. So, as you guys are watching things, does anyone want to try to accomplish anything in particular other than what you've already kind of outlined? If not, I'm going to take a page out of our Jarl Goat's book with the game that he runs and ran that I was in. And I'd like each of you to describe something that you noticed happening in the crowd or in the cafe or something like that that caught your attention that you thought fits this scene, basically. So, James, go ahead.
Bengar takes a sip of his coffee and winces. Too much cream, too much sugar. He remembers when he got it military black. And his eyes gaze out the windows of the coffee shop, which is ironic. It's got subtle, calming music. You know, people are doing business here. It's almost in another world of its own. And outside, he's looking at the protest, and he notices that to prove a point, the aliens have brought their families. So there's children's. There's children's in the crowd.
Children,
little babies in their
tadpoles,
hands.
whatever the case may be.
Yeah. They got like little fish bowls with like a tadpole floating around in it. But Bengar is very uneasy about this. And where he was flirting like a senile old man with some of the wait staff, they may take notice that his attention has become very rigid now. And now his eyes are darting among the security around the group.
All right.
On pins and needles, wondering if something's going to happen.
Yeah, you do notice that a lot of the aliens, there's a couple of hundred people here, but you would guess about 25% of the crowd are not of age of whatever species they are, whether it's adults or adolescents. Children or adolescents of various species. I'm not going to say like certain ages because like some species may grow faster or slower, or whatever the case may be, but they're not of age of their species. So there is a decent number of kids in the crowd. So Chris, what do you notice about the?
I'm gonna guess the children are aware of the fact that, at least the alien children are aware that they are being more singled out compared to humans.
It's hard to tell. Some of them, obviously, some of the older children would have a better grasp of what the protest is about than others. You do see a lot of the adults have signage like saying that species rights and we've done nothing wrong, and like the Imperials are the Senate's not listening to what the Imperials are doing in the mid and outer rim, that kind of signage. So
okay, I'll just go with some of the like more teenage area, like for their species anyway, for that maturity level that can understand what's happening, but not quite understand the severity of it. Kind of actually taunting the security officers directly, at least some of them.
Do you want them to be taunting like planetary security or some actual stormtroopers?
I'm going to be daring
there are
to go
some
with
stormtroopers that have like started. They're like closer to the Imperial Palace's doorway, whereas there's local security that's starting to like come into the square, just trying to keep an eye on everything.
Probably the local security then, because obviously I doubt they'd be all the way
up
next to the stormtroopers directly. So,
all right, and Jim, what's caught your attention in this mess of humanity and aliens?
That while having my slicing gear out, looking at my laptop screen, you're seeing the green lights and they're reflecting on my face of numbers just scrolling and then stop. You watch it scroll side to side, stop, and I look up from my hidden space off the side and this plugged into this alley that I've hacked into the electrical system in a building, and I look up and it strikes me as odd. There's, in the midst of all of these rioters, there seem to be humans, and there's something not right about them, and I am seeing that they're armed.
Okay. Yeah, you do notice that there are Now, granted, it's mostly like slow thrower pistols and rocks and stuff. Like riot level armament for the
what I'm
most
noticing
part.
is that there are
You
a
do catch the
handful
eyes of some that are more heavily
armed a little bit heavier.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do notice that most of them are human. You do see a couple of aliens even with some riotous type weaponry as well.
For a moment, I think, oh, damn, there's Imperials in the mix of that. I got to hurry up and fix. Oh, no, there's more. Oh, this is going to get ugly. This is going to get ugly real quick.
And about this time, as you guys are all noticing these things, you notice that there is you all notice a group of adolescents, like late teens equivalent, of a mixture of races that have come in, and they are all wearing a blue tied-off scarf around their right elbow or right appendage, in some cases, depending on what alien species we're talking about. There's a group of about 20 of them that have made their way into the crowd. Several of them are the ones that you notice are more heavily armed, Jim. And that may be the common tie that you're noticing, is that they have that blue scarf tied around them caught your attention first, and then the flash of weaponry amongst them. And they make their way through the crowd. And as you guys are watching, you see one of them that's wearing like a blue. Are y'all familiar with the Crash Luck armor? It's actually decent. It's got some. It's somewhere between padded clothing and laminate. It is actually some decent military, like riot armor type thing, but it's just a chest piece. But there is a Moncal that looks to be the equivalent of like a 15 or 16-year-old. I don't know if Moncal's aged the same way or not, but that equivalent in a human. He's wearing a blue version of this particular piece of armor, and he makes his way through the crowd towards the Stormtroopers. And he starts shouting at the Stormtroopers, and you guys can make out part of what he's saying, because over the protests and whatnot, y'all are only catching bits and pieces of it. Or in the case of James, who's inside, you may not even be catching much other than just noise coming from outside. But he is clearly galvanizing some of the protesters into possible action. You see the group of adolescents that have spread throughout the crowd with weaponry, as they start to try to get other people pissed off and angry and ready to do something as well. What do you guys do at this point? You're muted, Jim.
I unplug and begin shoving everything in my backpack. This is not what I want to be around.
This is escalated. Gotcha.
Yep. I'm ready to scamper.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this alley that I've got into is only a half alley, so getting out that way is not going to work.
All right.
Bengar's sitting at his table, and he raises his cup at the waitress.
Asking for another one?
Over.
Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to get her attention.
She makes her way over, and you can see she's kind of distracted by the escalating crowd outside as more people are making their way into the square, and it's getting a little more riotous. She's slightly distracted, but she makes her way over and politely asks, "Yes, sir?"
So he makes sure that he pulls his ball cap down just to cover his eyes so that he can watch the crowd but still talk to her and not seem like a total old prick.
Right.
He's like, "Listen, this is getting out of hand. I've seen this before in my service. You need to take everyone in the coffee shop and escort them the back doorway. There's going to be a fight." And if she's still watching the crowd, he motions to where a lot of the increased activity is, and to see if he could point out any of the weapons to her so that or maybe I can make a check so that she knows I'm serious and get the hell out. A leadership check or a charm check.
Yeah, I could see leadership or charm or even deception possibly, at least motivating her. As you say it, if you want to make it leadership, then I would let other patrons kind of hear. But if it's charm or deception,
I'll make it leadership.
Mostly. Okay. Yeah, leadership.
I'll make it leadership.
We'll call it difficulty 2 base, but then I'm going to give you 2 setbacks from the increased noise, and plus it's just a coffee shop. People don't tend to think there's a problem, but a boost die from the noise as well. So it's kind of one of those.
Excellent.
The noise may help or hinder type thing. So.
Well, I normally get a boost die when pertaining to my allies, so I'm going to remove that because these aren't my allies.
Okay.
And here we go. Oops, I forgot to take off the white dice, but we can ignore that. That was a wash?
That did not calculate right.
You want me to re-roll?
Oh, no, wait. It is a wash.
It did. Yeah. It's a wash, yeah.
It's a straight wash.
Wow. So there's a group I've been playing with lately, and they have what they call the escalation and things, because they find that complete washes are no fun for anybody involved. And so they have an escalation rule where if you completely wash, like nothing nets, then re-roll with an extra boost and an extra setback on the roll.
Okay, I can do that.
Something happens. Because we want to move the narrative forward, so some way or another.
Oh.
Failures, advantages, and triumphs. So you don't make a good impression as far as like the imminent nature, or maybe there's not a back door. Yeah, that's it. She's like, well, there's not a back door for them to scurry out of type thing. The square is the site, and that kind of thing. So she lets you know that the only other exit, the emergency exit, is a side door that enters into a half alley.
Okay. Do you want me to declare the triumph, or was that part of it?
You can declare the good stuff if you've. I'm just declaring like you failed, and I'm going to make it where some of them just don't see the importance of it, and she lets you know that that's not an option, basically. Even if I had the authority to do it.
Which one's the emergency exit?
She points to the door over to the side that looks like it's usually closed, and it's like a double door where basically a speeder truck would kind of land in the alley type thing and unload supplies when needed. But,
okay, I'm going to say that the triumph is it's got a fire alarm attached to it.
Okay.
Like one of those emergency doors you open, an alarm goes off.
Right.
And he's got his backpack sitting on the ground, and there's a couple devices plugged in as if they're just like data pads charging
or whatever.
So he goes, I'm going to go use the bathroom if you don't mind. This old bladder can't take all this coffee.
Okay.
And then he moves over to the door, kicks it open to trigger the alarm, and using the 4 advantage, he's going to scream at the top of his lungs, "Everyone out! There's a fire!"
All right. So, Jim, our Moncal, as you're starting to pack up your slicing equipment, you start to walk out of the alleyway, which only has one way out, and all of a sudden these double doors swing open in front of you, and there's this old man shouting, "Everyone out! There's a fire!" Like,
I'm ready to take off. I'm like, got it. Can't tell him to tell me twice. I fling my bag over, and
from within the cafe, there's like, as the alarm goes off, there's quite a bit of confusion. Is the most common reaction, because no one like actually smells the smoke or sees a fire, both staff or guests. And some guests are like reacting quickly and startled and like spill coffee, and so there's all sorts of chaos going on and confusion.
Pull my hat low and okay, so I have this small square cap with the bill on it, and I try to pull it low, and really it just comes right down below my eyes, and I just kind of start walking off.
Okay.
Get off and turn away. I'm getting away from this situation, from the riot that's in front of me. This old dude just kicked open doors, shouting fire. That's never good when somebody starts just lying about stuff, just walking away.
All right. Chris, what are you doing? Well, in addition to the noise in the square, there's now a fire alarm going off in a building nearby and on the edge of the square as well, so even more chaos.
I'm not even sure what to do about that. But is there a way I can actually make a perception check to see how the security force and Imperials are taking the riot so far?
You can do it as perception or vigilance, either one.
I need to double check what I have then. They're the same, so that doesn't help on either way. But
just noticing what they're doing is going to be difficulty 2, but I'm going to give 3 setbacks because of the crowd and just the noise level and stuff, because even if you get eyes on one security guy, he's immediately like blocked by someone walking between you and him and that kind of thing, and trying to get it.
I don't think I have anything that would help that. There's not much that would help then, unless I have a force power, but I only grab sense, so that's not going to help. Okay, yeah.
So there's some talents that take away setbacks from perception checks and give boosts and stuff.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
didn't go as badly as I thought it would.
So failure and a threat. So obviously you can't discern much about what they're doing. You can see that there are there's a decent number of security people, but like you can't tell. Most of them have posted up at different spots around the square. Can't really tell much detail about what they're planning or what their reaction is, other than just they look anxious. So I'm going to say that with the threat, you're going to take a strain as a Quarren youth. Basically is just kind of barreling past you and like shoulder bumps you pretty hard as you're trying to get a view on things, and you kind of spin halfway around, and he's heading along the edge of the crowd towards where the Moncal youth has taken up kind of a point at the front of the crowd. The Moncal has actually walked a couple of steps up the stairway from the square towards the palace, which has got the Stormtroopers kind of a bit more on edge. But as you guys are watching at this point, the cafe starts to evacuate, some faster than others, and most of its population are trying to skirt along the edge of the cafe one direction or the other to just get out of the square as best as they can. And you can see a couple of other buildings along the perimeter of the square where similar activities are going on, not necessarily because of fire alarms, but because of just people realizing this is about to get out of hand possibly, and they just don't want to be associated with it. And let's see here. Then you all notice the Moncal, the Moncal youth that's on the stairway, he reaches into he reaches into the chest compartment of his armor, like underneath his armor, and pulls something out. When he does, you see 6 of the Stormtroopers snap from like ready positions to weapons aimed at him, because they're not really sure what he's reaching for. But they don't fire immediately. They're waiting to see what comes out of the armor. And at this point, you all hear the Moncal, and you realize that there are 4 or 5 people in the crowd that have some sort of speaker devices that are being transmitted from what the Moncal is saying to where it's actually being broadcast over the crowd, to where everyone can hear. And the Moncal says that the injustice of the Empire ends today, and I will not stand for it. Who will stand with me? And with that, as he asks that of the crowd, you see about a dozen fists kind of shoot up in the air as people like kind of cheer for him. And when he pulls something out from under his armor, you guys, Jim, your character may not recognize what this is right away, but the other 2 of you recognize it immediately, because as it ignites, there is a orange-bladed lightsaber in his hands. Brilliant orange in color, not yellow or red or anything like that, but just this neon orange shade. And as soon as it ignites, blaster fire starts to erupt from the Stormtroopers. And now you guys have the opportunity to react.
Given that this is kind of what Bengar was waiting for, he pushes through the crowd that's headed towards the emergency exit back over to his backpack, and he unzips it and opens it to reveal an ACP repeater gun that's kind of just strapped inside, but beneath it is a comms jammer, and he turns on the comms jammer since it's plugged into the wall to cut comms fields for a few blocks.
Let's see here, basic comms jammer. I'm just wondering what, like, if it defines a range or.
It does define a range. It'll take out a few city blocks. It's not big enough to take out a planet or like an entire city.
Does it hit everything within long range or something like that? Or
yeah, I think it's long or extreme, because I think they literally said that the only thing that doesn't define it is it can't shut down an entire city. Yeah, it's just a standard comm jammer. So the range is completely up to you.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's personal scale. Somewhere in extreme range, it'll fizzle out, basically. So it'll cover long for sure, and somewhere out there in extreme before you get to planetary scale, it definitely fizzles out. So, but that's enough to hit the entire square and several like a block or two in every direction, basically.
His reasoning for this is not necessarily to jam communications, although that is his prime objective. It jams all radio frequencies. So if any of these protesters happen to have suicide vests, or if there's the Imperials try to use any kind of remote detonation, anything like that, it won't work.
Okay, sounds good. So you flip that on. Jim, what are you doing? You kind of caught up in an evacuation from a coffee shop. Are you going left or right or in through the crowd?
I'm gonna
or up. I mean, get creative. I don't know.
Well, we know what happened last time I did that.
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah, if there is a ladder mounted on one of these walls, I'd like to go up.
Spend a light side point.
Yeah,
I would just spend it and say there is one.
A destiny point, and you find a ladder.
Oh,
it's fine. Use it.
I don't want to spend more.
Do it.
Do it.
Got it. Okay, I'll spend it.
That's one of the uses of them, is for the players to be able to define the narrative in a way that benefits them.
All
right, so you find a ladder, not necessarily the coffee shop building, but like as you head down, you find like a fire escape ladder in the next alleyway type thing that you're able to head up.
Perfect.
Making your way towards the roof. Chris, what's your reaction? I mean, there's this kid he's not old enough to really probably have any real memory of the Jedi. I mean, he's like 15 years old, and the Clone Wars ended 11 years ago, so that means he was 3 or 4 probably whenever Order 66 happened. He would have been a youngling at best somewhere. So what's going through your mind when you witness this?
She's just gonna kind of go. Charlie's just gonna stand there a little wide-eyed for a second. Now she didn't feel anything from him, like force sensitive wise, because he's the one that passed by her, right? Or is that a different one?
No, there was a Quarren that bumped into you.
Okay, that's right.
This guy's been medium range or further from you, like ever since you've noticed.
Okay, so that's too far for my sense. So she's just gonna go wide-eyed at the possibility that there's another force sensitive out there, especially one that has a lightsaber, because she lost her own lightsaber.
Right.
So she's gonna start like hurriedly walking, trying to get closer, and probably starts running as soon as towards him as they start opening fire.
Okay. Give me either athletics, coordination, or skullduggery test.
Okay.
One of the three. Basically, it's either you're muscling your way through, dancing your way through, or just like juking and jiving your way through the crowd. Any of the three, I think, would make sense potentially. It's just kind of what method are you using?
What was my third option? Coordination, athletics, and what?
Skullduggery.
Is that gonna be a better chance? Jeez. Okay. And what's the difficulty on it?
The difficulty will be 3 purple.
Also, just as a heads up, I would also like to commit my force die to my force sense.
Okay.
The defense, just because the situation, definitely want to be careful about it. And I had a complete wash.
So roll again with a boost and a setback. All right, so you start to muscle your way through the crowd, and you get bumped and jostled, and you find yourself not making any ground towards the Corrin. I mean, not the Corrin, the Mon Cal. Kind of sliding along the side of the mass of people. As the blaster fire erupts, and you're kind of bouncing along, you find yourself face to face with a Rhodian child who's probably 3 or 4 who just starts crying like there's this baby screaming in your face when you get stuck amongst the mass of people as the blaster fire starts happening.
Captain Tico?
What?
I said Captain Tico?
I don't know where we're at in the timeline compared to your Captain Tico. But as this happens, the Mon Cal, as the 6 stormtroopers that had raised their weapons let loose blaster bolts at him, you see the other stormtroopers. There's 2 full squads out here on the steps. So there's a total of it's 10 per squad, I think. So there's 20 stormtroopers. The others are starting to like survey the crowd and fan out, and several of them drop down to the knees as they like take up defensive positions on the stairs. Those 6 blaster bolts, a couple of them just miss the Mon Cal altogether and wind up flying into the crowd. And the Mon Cal actually successfully deflects several of them.
Oh.
Most of them just kind of get reflected to the side, and you see blaster bolts flying into the crowd. You hear the cries of some people being hit, or like the turf of the square just kind of exploding from being hit by a blaster rifle shot, and one of the blaster bolts gets reflected back right at the stormtroopers, and one stormtrooper just goes down from getting hit by a blaster bolt reflected. And with that, you guys have the opportunity to react again.
Well, given Bengar's motivations, vengeance and justice,
they seem to be
and his
in play
past,
somewhere.
And his past, which was watching the Jedi get cut down. He doesn't know much about the actual workings of the Force, but he's been with the Jedi a lot. And it seems like this is a learner. He's not entirely skilled, but by the fact that he's been able to deflect the blaster bolts, Bengar is almost wondering if there's a master in the crowd. And feeling his compelled duty, and by definition that the game gives me, he pulls his gun out, makes sure his vest is tight, kicks open the door, and approaches the stormtroopers with the gun right under the armpit. And he's not stepping into the crowd. He's actually trying to draw fire away from the crowd. And as soon as he's going to make a whole movement if he has to. And as soon as he's within range, he's going to open fire, and it's an auto fire weapon.
All right. Yeah, if you do a double maneuver, basically moving along the edge of the crowd to get to where you're out from the crowd enough and still in view of some stormtroopers, double maneuver, you'll wind up medium range from part of one of the squads, basically, at one edge of the square.
I will take that strain.
You're also short range from the Mon Cal at this positioning. Like you've made it around the crowd, and you're kind of up front, kind of at an angle from the Mon Cal.
Is there any particular stormtrooper in the cluster that's firing that looks to be in charge?
Not that you can really tell yet. I mean, they are the standard.
So they don't have
no one has the padded armor or padded shoulder pad or anything like that to indicate they're in charge.
Good.
So there are 19 stormtroopers in total.
I've seen them on the Death Star. They can't shoot. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and open fire then.
Okay. And I'm assuming the closest squad. I'm doing them at the 20 were going to be 5 squads of 4. So I'm assuming going for the closest squad type thing.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good.
And let me bring up my talents real quick.
Always good to check if anything applies. Medium range to just difficulty 2.
Now, yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to use any of those abilities because they're all actions. I was going to try to save the Moncal, but I don't think that'll work.
Okay.
Keo. Another wash? I'm good at this.
Yeah, this dice roller tonight.
Setback and
a boost, yeah.
Boost and do it again.
All right, so you.
And it worked out better than it did for me.
What's the base damage of your weapon?
7.
7, so that's 8. So it's not enough to completely incapacitate a Stormtrooper, unless it's got Pierce or anything like that on it.
No, it's just auto fire, and I didn't roll the advantages for it, so.
Gotcha. All right, so you do some damage to one of them. With the 2 threats, I'm going to say that that squad is going to get a free maneuver as they see you, and you do to attract their attention. They are going to close on you, and so they're at short range to you now.
Yeah, and I think as an incidental, I'm going to shout to the crowd, "Take cover in the shops, you fools!"
All right. So, Jim, you hear blaster fire break out like as you're cresting the top of the ladder of this. We'll call it a 3-story building that you're on. You can hear blaster fire, some of it auto fire, some of it not, and like this weird humming sound and the ricocheting sound of blaster bolts against the lightsaber.
I'm gonna pull out my gear. Since I've just heard some random dude, "Get in the shops, take cover in the shops, you fools." Cool. I sit down with my back behind the retaining wall. I pull it out, opening it up, and I'm doing everything I can to start accessing all of the security systems in these buildings that are on this side.
Okay.
Unlocking doors.
Okay.
Making sure that, and
I think
here in a minute.
I think you had noticed before you got too far, though, that there's no connection to the HoloNet.
Yeah, that's true.
My jammer's on.
Jammer. Yeah. So you realize that your signal is being jammed by someone.
Is there any electrical equipment up here for me to plug into?
You could actually disable the jammer if you want, if you would like those stats.
Yeah, you could attempt that.
I can't access it from up here.
Well, the way the jammers work in Star Wars is basically it's just flooding the waves, and with your slicing gear, you can attempt to retaliate basically and overpower it.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
I don't know what's going on or what's causing it.
Yeah, and you don't know who's jamming.
Right, I'll give it a shot then.
Okay. Do you have those rules handy?
Yes, it's a computer's check versus the power source, and since it's an outlet, it's a 1.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
I will say that there are 2 setbacks just from the distractions of blaster fire and all that good stuff going on, and the roars of the crowd and screams of pain and all that good stuff.
So 1 setback?
2 setbacks from that.
2 setbacks and a difficulty 1.
Yep.
Let me make sure I don't have something I can use with that.
Most of the slicing things aren't going to help with distractions. They help you break encryptions and stuff, and this isn't a military comm scrambler.
Okay. Here we go. Ka-ching. I'll take it.
Nice. So you get the you overpower it and get it to power down, and you start to get signals, and you realize that there's other people getting signals through as well. Not everyone, but some people are. What do you want to do with those advantages?
Gosh, I don't know what to do since I don't know who these guys are.
You don't know which guys are.
Since I don't know the other 2 players, I can't give them any bonuses because I don't know.
Yeah, they're not your allies, so. But you can.
You
with
could spend the 2 to pass it
to
to yourself.
Yeah.
For the next roll.
Well, your next ally is yourself right now, so like you could just pass 2 to your self if you want. Also, with 1 advantages, you can learn something about the encounter that you haven't discovered yet as well.
Cool. What the hell is that with the orange? The big glow stick that's
We'll say
deflecting.
with one, as you're like busting through the signal and whatnot, you can still tell a lot of communications are being jammed. But one, you break in, like you crackle through a couple of frequencies that are communicating, and you hear some people saying, "There's a Jedi in the crowd. Request reinforcements immediately." So you hear someone referring to that person as a Jedi. That's probably what you would get from that, I think.
All right, with my other one, I'm going to go ahead and give myself
A boost next time. Okay.
a boost die.
All right. And let's see here. So that's you two. So Chris, what are you going to do now?
Would I notice the blaster fire from James' character?
You would recognize that there's the sounds of a different kind of blaster somewhere. I mean, because the Stormtroopers are all using standard issue stuff, and it has a very particular sound.
Mm-hmm.
James is using a very different type of blaster, so it would sound different. You probably can't see it from where you're at because you were trying to move through the crowd, and so like you've been tussled around and stuff. So,
would I at least recognize that it's also not the standard security force weapon either?
Not necessarily.
Okay. I just wanted to know if I'd be able to recognize that much.
Just for some player knowledge, I don't know if you guys have ever played Republic Commando, but the AC repeaters, that one assault rifle that goes thum 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 thum, and it's an energy, but it's not the quack 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 that the normal laser rifles make. So
right,
okay.
I agree with
Joshua.
You're probably pretty sure that it's not a pistol. I mean, like, you can't think of a pistol that works that way, even though a heavy blaster pistol probably does sound similar, but those aren't normal to run into on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, I just wanted to judge whether or not she knows that someone might be helping her or not.
Okay.
But she's just gonna try and move her way a little more cautiously this time, because clearly she's not getting through the crowd.
Okay.
Shoot, I guess I should think about the child as well.
There's quite a few of them around.
Yeah,
there's
too many to really worry about, and she's got to help the other force user here, so she's gonna just try and make her way a little slower, cautiously, because obviously last time that failed miserably trying to rush through the crowd. Okay. But she's gonna try and make her way through the crowd still to get there.
All right, go ahead and roll whichever one of those rolls you were going for again, then.
Okay. Still 3 purple, or?
Yeah, still 3 purple, and I'm actually going to give it an extra setback because you've failed once already, and now the crowd is scrambling to get out from away from blaster fire. So that's even
actually
harder to predict at that point.
Could I, as an incidental, have her kind of shout out of the way and use leadership or charm?
Yeah, I'll let you use leadership
to try and. Okay.
It's still the same difficulty, but I could see leadership being useful at this point, as you're trying to instill calm and get people to follow orders type thing.
Okay. Awesome.
Wow.
I'm having really bad luck tonight, apparently.
So I'm going to spend a destiny point after that roll. And as you're making your way through the crowd, the reason why you don't make any ground is you find yourself kind of sandwiched between two larger, like a larger Moncal and a larger Nautilin type thing, like they're blocking your way. Yeah. And a blaster bolt passes within feet of you to the right, and what attracts your attention is that it hits that Rhodian kid that you just passed. And the kid screams, and that's why you don't make any ground, is because you got some hulking guys in front of you, and the blaster bolt distracts you.
Okay.
All right, and then it's the bad guys and the crowd. So as this happens and blaster fire breaks out, you hear lots of, quite a few, I should say, about a dozen other weapons start breaking out into fire. Some slug thrower weaponry. You see some rocks flying towards the stormtroopers, a couple of blaster pistols and holdout blasters and that sort of thing, which is relatively ineffective against stormtroopers in their laminate. You also see local constables that are along the edge of the square. They are actually starting to try to corral people and keep them in the square at this point, because they don't know who is actually the instigators and who's not. And there's some, you actually see one constable actually start shooting into the crowd with his blaster pistol as well. So it is chaos going on now. And we'll start with Jen this time.
Gotcha. Okay, so this mansion, does it happen to have a gate?
The stairway leads up to one of those big like doors that pretty much is a gate and would lead into the inner courtyard type thing.
So everything's happening in front of these doors, huh?
Right. Stormtroopers, the last like 2 squads of the stormtroopers are basically group of 8 of them are basically right up against the doors, kind of positioned, and the other 11 are fanned out in front of them,
okay,
trying to deal with the situation.
It wouldn't happen to be mechanical, would they? The doors?
The doors? They're definitely mechanical. I mean,
could I? Okay, I want to try to hack into the doors and have them swing out, hitting the stormtroopers.
Okay, that's going to be hard because you're breaking through the jamming field and you're trying to hack Imperial security protocols at that point.
Have I not already broken through the jammer?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still on. Like you're breaking through it, so you got that working against you, and you're trying to figure out the Imperial security protocols. So like it'll be difficult if you want to go for that.
Like 5 purple?
Like 2 red and a purple.
I'll take it.
Okay, go for it. So 2 red and a purple, and then the same 2 black from the distractions of the blaster fire and chaos going around. And you got your boost. Don't forget your boost die. All right, 1 success, no advantages. So you get into the security system for the palace. And let's see here. That gets you in, and you're finding the controls. So next round you'll be able to open it up with an action type thing if you want.
Perfect. Will I have to re-roll?
No, you're in right now. So unless someone ejects you from the system, then you're fine for now.
Great.
All right.
I'll continue to. I'm going to take a quick peek over the edge to see how everybody's doing getting into buildings.
Some people are making their way towards them. A lot of people are running in their various directions and whatnot. It's pretty chaotic down there now, and you end up quickly ducking your head back around as a stray blaster bolt flies in your general direction. Like it's still 10 feet away. Like clearly it wasn't aimed at you. It's just it gets close enough to make you like duck back under your around the edge of the building type thing.
All right.
Let's see here. So Chris, what are you gonna do this time?
We're gonna try again, I guess. I mean,
all right.
Unfortunately, she's pretty desperate to try and get to someone who's like her. So.
All right. If you want to, now that y'all have got some light side points, you can just like say, spend a destiny point and narratively make your way through the crowd. I'm fine with that.
You know, are you guys okay with that? Because at this rate, I'm getting nowhere.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, why not? So,
all right. So,
actually,
you as you start to make your way through the crowd again, I'm going to say that the force catches your attention. Like in the midst of this, you're feeling the little life forms as different people take enough injury to actually die. You feel that little bit of scream, but through it, you feel the force sensitivity of the young learner up there that is deflecting blaster bolts from the stormtroopers and whatnot. and is still holding his ground so far. And you start making your way through, like the force actually calling to you basically as you juke here and duck there, and you get narrowly miss getting like clobbered by arms and feet and that sort of thing as you sense it. And you make your way to where you're now at the front edge of the crowd. You are still short range from the Mon Cal with a lightsaber. And off to your side, like to your right, you can see James's character there shooting at the Stormtroopers. That's also short range from you from here. So you, the Mon Cal, and James kind of make like a triangle right now. The Stormtroopers are at the edge of medium range from you, basically from here. So.
Okay. As my action, I do want to actually draw the Flaxian phase knife.
Okay.
That she's carrying. Because that movement alone was getting me into there, and.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to ignite it yet though, because I'll leave that as an incidental for next round. But.
All right. And James, what are you thinking at this point? You realize that you're not the only one who has busted out weaponry in addition to the Stormtroopers. There's a lot of pistols though, which is mostly ineffective against Stormtrooper armor.
All right. I'd like to take an incidental skill check to try to gain control of the crowd, make a maneuver, and then use one of my field commander actions.
Okay. So field commander is you have the improved field commander, so it's as a maneuver.
Oh, yes, I do. Basically, what I want to do is it's just going to give the crowd a maneuver. So the reason why I want to do leadership is I want to try to say, hey, you guys are my allies. And I want to shout charge and have them charge. And I want to roll the leadership check to give them a free maneuver to move up the steps.
Go for it.
And if I roll a triumph, they'll actually get to open fire instead.
They can do an action instead if they prefer for whatever works for them.
And I need to make a 2 purple leadership check, and because I have improved field commander, I affect 6 targets. And real quick question, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Would a bonus action be valuable, or a bonus maneuver be valuable to you if I made you one of the allies?
A maneuver would get me right next to them. So yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to. If I roll triumph, you don't have to take the action.
Okay. Yeah, a maneuver would be better for me.
You actually have to suffer a strain to do it.
But everybody suffers a strain. Yep. Yeah, this is like a freebie.
So
I can work with
designating Chris and some of the other people who have pulled out like blaster pistols or slug throwers and that kind of thing, and designating them as your allies type thing.
Yeah, that's so. First, I'll do the leadership roll to designate allies. And in this case, this does apply. So what would the difficulty be to point to 5 guys plus Chris and say, on me?
The leadership check is just difficulty 2, but I am going to give it 2 setbacks just due to the chaos of the moment. And the fact that none of them actually know you right now. So it's kind of one of those, you got to get their attention and then respond. So.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and roll the leadership check to get them to respond. Oh, oops. I was supposed to add another boost die to that. Sorry. Okay, so 3 advantage.
3 advantage.
Which is all I need, I believe. No, I think I have to succeed to get... Oh, no, I'm just trying to get them to rally up. That's right.
Right. All right, so basically, since there's a failure in the black dice, so the noise level is such that, like, not enough people can hear and understand what it is you're trying to get them to do in that moment. But with 3 advantages, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to do anything in particular there?
I think maybe go ahead.
Because Bertali has been in combat, could we make the advantage be she does hear him?
Well, actually, I was going to expand off that. I was thinking maybe the crowd didn't hear me, but maybe inadvertently, because the echoing throughout the square, Jim and Chris heard me.
Okay.
So I'm not going to get the support I wanted, but...
All right. I will say that... Chris, you hear his orders clearly. I'll say that the Mon Cal would-be Jedi hears them clearly with the second advantage. And then the Jim, you don't hear it like directly. You hear it through your slicing gear because you're like in the Imperial signals. So you hear it crackle over Stormtroopers' comms of someone in the crowd trying to organize the crowd, basically. And from your vantage point, like when you glanced over, you think there looked to be an old military fella at the edge of the crowd, so it might be him. It's kind of hard to tell. He was close enough that the Stormtrooper, it would make sense. It didn't sound like the Mon Cal's voice, and it's hard to tell if there's anyone else close enough to have been picked up by the Stormtrooper comms. So all three of them heard the orders, but it didn't get organized enough to give you all the free maneuvers.
Well, that was just the leadership to turn them into allies.
And that's the maneuvers.
I still have to roll for the field commander.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was just basically saying, hey, I'm on your side. Listen up.
Okay.
That was all that was for. But unfortunately, the crowd did not hear me.
Right.
So I'm going to make a maneuver towards the Stormtroopers for my standard maneuver, and then I will roll leadership again. 2 purple is the difficulty for field commander. And do you still want to add the 2 setback for these guys since they heard me? Or
now that they have heard you, I will knock it down to 1 setback because they have an idea of what they're listening for, at least. But there's just enough noise that...
Right. I don't get to add my second boost die. Oh, no, I do. Because I have command. Okay. And anytime you 2 fellas have to make a discipline check over the next 24 hours, you get a boost die.
I can work with that.
Might be helpful.
Are you kidding? These
dice. You got 3 yellow versus 2 purple, and you don't get it. You got 1 success on the dice, but that noise getting in the way.
Right. I think that if you fellas don't mind, I would like to spin the light side to say that with the push, even though it was limited, it's very clear that the group is starting to converge and the Stormtroopers centralize. I was thinking maybe spinning a light side point, like they go into a field instead of hiding behind cover. What do you guys say?
They form up right against the door, basically.
Yeah, because we're like approaching the steps. I could see them like, don't let them in. Right. So I'll go ahead and spin a light side for that.
All right. So this turn, Jim, since you're in the comms and whatnot, you hear a crackle over the comms of something where, like you hear the Stormtroopers comms units. That's the main thing you're picking up is some of their communications between themselves. You hear them say, fall back, collapse on the door. And then you hear a slight buzz, almost like a comm jammer hits their frequencies for a moment. Like it, and then a moment later over the comms, code 3, Jedi in the crowd, support is on the way. Crackles over their comms units. And the Stormtroopers are still firing into the crowd towards the Jedi, but the Jedi has not yet been hit by any meaningful, maybe a glancing blow or something like that, but nothing significant to actually drop the kid. And Chris, as you're getting close, you can feel waves of anger and determination coming off of this kid. He is not in the zen-like trance of deflecting blasters. He is slowly starting, like he's doing step by step, like he's working, but he's stepping slowly towards the Stormtroopers, and you can feel waves of dark energy coming from him.
Okay.
All right. Let's see, we did. Chris, we'll have you go first this time.
Okay, since I'm finally like through the crowd.
Right.
Only took 3 tries. Bertali's gonna finally ignite her flaxen phase knife and kind of run up. And how close is the closest stormtrooper that's trying to shoot the Moncall?
From you, medium range.
Okay.
So it'd be a double maneuver for you.
Yeah. Normally, I don't like to spend
Strain for that.
strain too early, but we're going to this time around.
Okay.
We get up there. I definitely want to try and attack the stormtroopers and help out finally. So, yeah, we'll go for that. And then, what would their melee defense be?
0.
0? Oh, wow.
Stormtrooper armor does not have defense. It's just soak.
I can live with that. See, that's 2 purples, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, it's been a few weeks since I've actually been able to play. There we go.
Hit. What's the base damage on that weapon? 4, if I remember?
It's actually 3.
3.
But I do have
4
Pierce
damage.
4. Yeah,
4
Pierce
damage,
4.
Pierce 4, so effectively 8 damage. So you kill off a stormtrooper.
Okay.
As you rush up, there's a group of 3 stormtroopers that are kind of at point. Their comrades laying on the steps, and you step over him and just jab your weapon towards them in a sweeping motion because you're a Makashi stylist, so it's fancy looking. And that stormtrooper collapses as he gets gashed pretty wide open. All right, Chris, what are you thinking here?
It's only 1 advantage that I
yeah,
have left.
Okay. Want to recover one of the strain you just spent, or?
Yeah, probably a good idea because I'm right in the middle of them.
Okay.
I'm gonna want that back.
And James, what about you now? You see this human girl by your definition, like probably late 20s is what she would be, I guess, something like that. Early 20s. So yeah, just charge up to the line of stormtroopers and just some sort of weird knife, just drop one of them.
Well, I actually was marching up toward the Moncall for a reason, and unfortunately it wasn't that. The Moncall's focused on the
Reflecting
stormtroopers, correct?
and marching towards the stormtroopers.
I would like to stun him in the back. I want to take him. I want to take him down.
All right.
I don't.
So, shooting at the Moncal. Let's see here. What is...
I don't want to do lethal damage, though. Let that be known. But if I have to turn on auto fire and just blast him with stun a few dozen times, then I'll do it.
All right. So, that would be difficulty of 1 red, 1 purple.
So
Or actually, no, wait. Yeah, because you're basically in. Or no, you're short with him, right?
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I did not get to.
one more.
He's deflecting. I just saw him kill people with his deflecting. He's clearly not that good at it. So
right. It's just 1 red.
Oh.
Actually,
So
I'll
just
spend a
one red?
destiny to make it 1 red, 1 purple, just so that y'all have a light side back to spend for later.
Okay, well then that's 2 purple, 1 red.
Oh, because you're auto firing.
Yeah, because I want to stun the shit out of him.
Okay.
Actually, I may recant the auto fire there and just go for a standard shot. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to move. I'm going to aim. Haha!
Okay.
Son of a... Oh, wait.
Wow.
Oh, crap.
Man, the dice are hating on you tonight.
I'm okay with that. I deserve it.
Yeah, that's what you get for canceling Dust to Dust last time.
It was Easter.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying the dice is retaliating.
I deserve it.
on my behalf.
I deserve
mean,
it. But cool.
All right, so you shoot towards him. You don't hit him, but you do get some advantages. So what do you want to do with those?
I'm going to pass him on to Chris because he's going to need him.
Okay.
Yep.
So since he's not the next one in the turn order, I guess he gets 1 boost die.
Right.
I'm going to spend 2 to give it directly to him.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So, Jim, you're up.
All right. Hearing this, that it sounds whatever code 3 is.
Right.
I am not excited about this. I pull myself above the retaining wall and shout out, "There's more coming, and it sounds terrible. Everybody, get out of here!" And I flop back down, and I'm like, "Open."
Okay.
I'm gonna flop those doors open. Emergency open, so that they just swing open.
All right, so they come flying open. The Stormtroopers and Chris all need to make a athletics or coordination check. As these massive doors just swing out suddenly. So
now, since I do have my sense turned on as a defensive, can I at least throw that in? Since technically the doors are trying to attack.
no, they are
Darn.
not sentient or living.
Darn, I am doomed. What was the difficulty on that?
It's going to be difficulty 2.
Okay. This
Is
is
anyone
going
else
so well for me.
picturing
On the other side of that.
Is anyone else picturing the Wii Sports bowling noise, like when the ball hits the pins and just like?
Possibly.
But not for me.
All right, so you managed to make it out of the way for the most part. You do like twist an ankle, take 2 strain, as you get jostled around by falling stormtroopers and maybe a door like bumps into your shoulder type thing. And as this happens, of the like 18 stormtroopers, I'm going to say like 4 of them remain standing. The rest all get knocked prone. Some of them are rolling down the stairs. Some of them have been knocked off the stairs on either side, basically, into the grassy hill type thing. But they are no longer in formation at all. But 4 of them are still standing and like kept their feet on the stairs near you, Chris. Basically the 4 that were closest to you anyway,
Okay.
as you were at the front of the group. But what catches at least James and Jim's attention, maybe not yours because you still got 4 stormtroopers in and are dodging doors. There is a group of individuals that are making their way. It looks like they were making their way towards the door, but like it's a courtyard on the other side, so like they weren't quite to the door yet. Whenever you opened the door, Jim, but they are near it. And where did my picture go? So that's the downside of having too much art. Is you lose pictures quickly. Well, I had a cool picture for dramatic effect, but it is a group of 5 individuals. One of them is wearing like this crimson noble's clothing, with like a half cape and that sort of thing. The other 4 are wearing flat black Imperial uniforms with no rank insignias or anything. Those of you who have the appropriate levels of knowledge would know that they might be intelligence agents. The guy with the cloak, let's see, here's my picture for him at least. This guy, he looks about the same age as Chris's character, roughly, maybe a little bit younger, late teens, early 20s. And he's making his way, leading the other 4. The other 4 all have blaster carbines in hand. This guy has no weapon obvious at this time.
Well, I made his entrance look pretty cool.
Yes, you did. And with that, we will start around through you guys again. We'll start with James, as we'll say you got a good look at these 5 entering the... they're coming to the top of the steps at this point, basically. They don't quite make it there. Stormtroopers are scrambling to get their feet back under them and that sort of thing.
All right, and what range band are they from me personally?
The 5 of them will say that they, at the top of the stairs, they're medium from you. Most of the Stormtroopers are currently short from you, as they got knocked down the stairs or off the hillside type thing. A couple of Stormtroopers got hit hard enough that they don't seem to be getting up at all. So,
and they clearly look, like you said, they look like Imperial intelligence. So
right, like they don't have the rank insignias, and normally that means intelligence or some sort of special bureau of some kind or another.
I am going to martyr the shit out of them, and I'm going to move into short band range and toss a frag grenade.
Okay. All right, move to short, so you're stepping over some Stormtroopers as you toss this frag grenade. You're up the steps a little bit, or at least up the side of the hill that the steps are built into type thing.
Right, because I was following the monk hall, but
yeah,
keeping a little bit of a distance. So what's the skill again? Is that a ranged light?
Yeah, grenades are ranged light.
That's what I thought. I didn't know if I had that wrong.
And because it technically matters, they are all engaged with each other, but the guy in red is 1 unit, and the 4 ISB agents are their own unit. So which one's your primary target?
The guy in red is in the middle, right?
Yeah, he's and the others are flanking.
Sense. Yeah, I think I'll get the guy in red, because if this goes well, who knows?
Sounds like a plan.
Let me
go down. Not be a good plan, but it is a plan, right?
Well, I'm just trying to shatter their organization at this point, because we have a crowd who's unorganized, and if I can even the playing field a little bit. Where the hell are the stats for it? I had it written down. I misplaced it. Oh, there it is. Yes, frag grenade. And you said what difficulty again, 2?
Aiming at him, you're at short range, so that is 1 purple by default. But this guy is adversary 1, so that's 1 red. And I'm going to spend a destiny point to make it 1 red, 1 purple, and he has
spend a destiny
1 ranged defense. So 1 of each of the bad dice.
And I'm going to spend a destiny point to upgrade my side.
Okay.
So it's just no setbacks?
There is 1 setback. Yeah, 1 ranged defense.
That's what I thought. All right. Die roller, don't fail me now. You piece of shit! God!
It gave you the successes.
I'm defecting.
All right, so you did not get enough advantages to trigger blast, so you hit the 1 guy. Let's see here. How am I going to handle that? Base damage on that is 8, if I remember right.
8, yeah, so it's 11.
So that's 11 wounds coming his way. So as this grenade comes hurling up past the Stormtroopers towards him, and what are we going to do with the despair here? The blast ignites in front of him, and half of his cloak gets blown off, and his shoulder of his tunic gets blown away, and there's some severe burns and that sort of thing on his left side. And as he gets blown away, you see you and Chris's character both see that he has a lightsaber on his hip. It is a curved hilt, Dooku style. And as the blast clears, actually with the despair, I'm actually going to say that it snaps off of his belt coming to his hand as one of the stray blaster bolts from the crowd heads towards him as well. And he deflects a 7 wounds from a blaster pistol that was going to hit him. Deflects it back at you, James. So 7 wounds as a blaster bolt that he was parrying at the time, or reflecting at the time, comes back at you.
If I may describe this, Bengar's not. I mean, he's always on his toes. He's always trained to expect the unexpected. He didn't expect that. His rifle is still hanging on his sling around his arm. He's got one arm under the muzzle, his left hand, and he threw with his right. And then the moment the bolt gets deflected and smacks him in the chest, he goes flying off his feet and actually clatters down the stairs, Home Alone robber style, and lands at the bottom in a heap.
And we'll say that you actually land at the feet of the Mon Cal, basically, when this happens.
Oh, good.
As you realize that he may not have been deflecting that with the intention of hitting you. It looks like it was actually like you, when you ran up and threw the grenade, you actually interjected yourself between him and the Mon Cal. And so then, let's see here. Chris, your turn.
Okay, so new foe introduced. The Stormtroopers around me, what condition are they in right now?
Almost all of them have like bumps and bruises type stuff, but that armor's pretty hefty, so it's not got too many of them in trouble.
Okay, but they're all none of them are dazed or anything. The 4 around me are pretty.
Quite a few of them are. Oh, the 4 that were closest to you, they're all still standing and like collecting their weapon and trying to scramble back into formation to be defensive and that sort of thing.
Okay. Ah, shoot. Well, Stormtroopers are pretty inaccurate compared to ISB people, and definitely.
But they have blaster rifles instead of carbines, so.
Yeah. That's a hard decision because I don't like leaving people behind to shoot me in the back. I'm going to stay with the Stormtroopers for another round real fast.
Okay.
I forget, is there a way to attack multiple if you're engaged with more than one at a time? These are a minion group, aren't they?
This is a minion group, so you're technically attacking all 4 of them.
Okay.
Just with the damage of your weapon, realistically, you're going to have to roll really well to kill more than one.
Okay.
I mean,
I wish I hadn't had to use that blue die on the athletics check. Okay, so another 2 purple.
Actually, I do believe you get a blue die because I had an advantage and there was nothing I did with it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can pass an advantage along.
Sweet.
So
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2 purple.
Okay. Jeez.
I hate you so much.
So, let's see, 2 is 5, plus Pierce Force. That's enough to kill 1. What do you want to do with the Triumph?
I'm pretty tempted to just kill another, honestly.
That is an option.
Yeah, does anyone have any suggestions?
I would suggest that because the crowd's been idle for the last 2 rounds, and I know that they're unorganized, but something's got to whip them into shape. So maybe the Triumph causes them to charge.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that actually, because I like the idea. Just the fact that my character kind of has run up there, headstrong, and killed 2 Stormtroopers in just a few seconds, kind of thing.
Okay.
Has kind of inspired the crowd to finally do more.
Alrighty. So running up beside you as we're resolving the Triumph, one of the Stormtroopers that fell, we're going to say, is rolling down the steps, and he kind of collides with the outside of your leg, and that's what the threat's going to be. You're going to take another strain.
Okay.
It threatened to kind of knock you over, but since it's only 1 threat, it didn't. And we're going to have a young human fella, looks to be about 28, 30-ish, like middle-aged type thing, who's got what looks to be armored clothing on and has a heavy blaster pistol in hand. Along beside him, there is a Rhodian that looks like a classic Rhodian smuggler. The 2 of them come running up the steps, and like as you were about to get bowled over, one of them catches you by either arm, basically keeps you stable, and they fall in beside you. One of them's got a heavy blaster pistol, and the other one a blaster pistol, and they start like firing at the down Stormtroopers, taking them out. And the young man quips, he says, "I am Quinn. what's your name? And he shoots you like the smuggler, like the charmer's type of grin.
The sexy eyes.
Right. I mean, because Chris is playing a Makashi duelist human female, so like,
Yeah.
she's got even though like this is chaos, there is style involved. So
I like it. Yeah, so I guess she'll, as kind of an incidental, just kind of look at them and smile before returning to
okay.
the battle.
You give a name?
No, she just kind of
Okay.
just smiles politely, like as if of friendship, but Quayle leaves her name out.
Okay. And when you do that and kind of turn to continue, he points his blaster. At first, you thought it was pointed at you, but he ends up shooting over your shoulder, and as the stormtrooper was getting back to his feet and aiming at you. And then they basically the Rhodian and him kind of fall in, covering your sides as you are making your way forward with the melee weapon.
Okay.
And then let's see, Jim, your turn.
So, have those special ops and the dude in red come through the door yet? Through the gate?
No, they came to like the top of the door type thing, like where the door was closed type thing. They got to that point, and a grenade went off in the dude's face.
Perfect.
And he threw the debris as the grenade cleared and whatnot. He ignites a red lightsaber, and it deflects a blaster bolt towards the Moncal with the orange, or towards the Moncal, but it ends up hitting the old man with his heavy weapon. So
And I'm over here going, 2 of them? No, shut that door. Shut the door. I just flung them up. Emergency close. Lock.
okay.
What would you like me to roll for that?
I'm just going to say, I mean, it's going to take your action because you're giving commands, but you're in the system. So you start to, like, the doors have, like, flung open, and now they're starting to do the closed shut type thing. What else do you want to do you've still got maneuvers you can do during your turn as well. If you want to. I mean, you may just want to stay up there and stay out of blaster shot range and be a slicer.
Can I... What would it take to survey to see what else I could do? Maybe, I don't know, kick on some fire suppression systems in neighboring buildings, cause chaos in other places other than here to try to get everybody just to scatter. I'm looking for, like, what would it take to find something like that?
That would be another slicing action, which you've already giving the command to the doors to close this round. It was your action. So
Yeah.
Realistic maneuvers, unless you want to reposition or anything, there's not a whole lot you can do with them.
Great. Then I'm gonna lean over, and I'm seeing these guys do this, and I'm realizing that, holy crap, I'm helping them. And so I stand up real quick, lean over, and go, I'm shutting the doors. Get everybody out of here. And then run real quick, sorry, to the other guy who I just that I am accidentally helping.
Over the den of the crowd, I'm not sure that the old man would hear that, but
at least I'm over there, like,
you're trying to apologize.
Duck back down, computer.
All right. So then, as the doors start to close, you see the stormtroopers as they scramble to their feet, kind of falling back towards the door. And then they realize the doors are closing, so then they start to surge again down the stairs, trying to stay outside the closing doors. And you see, like, the 4 ISB agents, they move into flanking positions with the guy who just took a grenade to the face. And that guy is casually walking down the steps, basically. And he... from his collar, like, one side you can see is damaged from the explosion of the grenade, but there's a item. It's like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically the equivalent of a Star Wars megaphone type thing, but it's built into the collar of what you're wearing. And he shouts out, "Anyone who is not an enemy of the Empire, get flat on the ground, and we will save you." At which point you see a lot of kids dropping to the ground and their parents like falling on like over them, like covering their bodies from the blaster bolts. And of the crowd, there was several hundred people here. You see a couple of dozen have been shot or impacted by stray blaster bolts or anything like that. But there's only about 50 people that stay on their feet after that order is given. And then the ISB agents are going to take shots at some of the people who remain standing. And I'm not going to bother rolling. Well, actually, I will roll because there's always the chance that they do poorly. And they don't seem to meaningfully hit anyone. But they're firing into... I mean, they're firing into the crowd effectively, but since the crowd has fallen to their belly for the most part, it's just missing people that are standing still. So then it is one of you guys' go. I'll let you guys kind of go into initiative order at this point. Y'all can pick what order you guys go in.
Sounds good. If you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and because there's only one stormtrooper left.
No, most of the others have made it back to their feet. There are a total of 13 of the original 20 still involved in the conflict.
Okay. So I guess would I have to make a leadership check to kind of tell the guys that kind of are working with her now, just kind of turn over her shoulder for a second and be like, handle the stormtroopers for me?
No, I'm not going to make a leadership check. That's what they're doing. You'll have to make a leadership to tell them to do something else, but that's what they're already working on.
Okay. So she'll just kind of tell them, keep handling the stormtroopers. I'm going to try and handle this guy because she's going to do the stupid thing here and try and prevent the apparent Sith from...
Could be a Jedi. You don't know.
Or fallen Jedi, but clearly they're working for the Empire. So the Dark Jedi, we'll go with that. I guess that's a better term for it right now.
Okay.
And intercept him from getting to the Mon Cala.
Okay. So
he's only short range, right?
At this point, yeah, he's short range from you, so you can close with him if you want.
It's a stupid idea, but yeah, I think I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I fully acknowledge that this is the stupidest thing I've done all day, but...
All right, so difficulty would be 1 red, 1 purple, and 2 black.
Okay, and I do get to take off one of those black.
Okay.
Luckily. And let's see how it goes. All right.
So that's 6 damage, pierce 4. As you dash in to slice at him with your phase knife, he gives a deft parry with his weapon, knocking it aside for the most part. You do catch him like on his forearm with a slight nick, but he parries 5 of the 6.
Jeez. His parry's as good as mine. He seems to be a Makashi person as well anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, the curved hilt is a telltale of Makashi style. Like, that's a pretty common choice. So.
Hers was probably also before she lost hers.
And with the threat, I'm going to go with the good old standard. You take a strain, as he parried you pretty harshly. It was kind of a snap parry and bounce your arm back towards you a little bit. All right. And James or Jim?
Do those doors shut yet?
They are closing. They have not shut yet.
Cool. Then
Command's already going though.
While they continue closing, I'm going to go ahead and take that look around. I'm looking for ideas, something I can do to cause distractions everywhere else around here, and something small to drive.
Well, as far as driving, you got to get out of the square. Like you'd have to leave.
There's no parked vehicles?
No, not in the square itself, no. There's plenty, like, on the other side, like, the block of buildings around the square, there's plenty just outside of speeder bikes and various speeder craft and that kind of thing that would be parked out there. But in the square itself, there's not. I mean, this is like one of those parade ground type squares where, because it's right in front of the Imperial Palace, or this Governor's Palace, so it's meant to be pretty, and right now it's blaster fire and blood soaked and all that good stuff. Okay. So from where you're at, you're on top of the building, so you could run just across the back of the building if you want and start making your way down the other side.
I'll take my maneuver and my action.
Yeah, it'll take your maneuver for sure to get to the other side of the building, and then you can either make a climb check to climb down, or you could just jump. I mean, it's a 3-story fall, so like that's not ideal. And then you could roll with it or whatever, that method, or I think how else you can get down.
Does the alley that I went down happen to with the fire escape happen to connect to both sides?
Didn't define that before. So if you want to spend a destiny point, yeah. In which case you could just climb down the fire escape and run out the back alley.
Nah, they're going to need it more than me.
Okay.
Okay. Pull up my blaster pistol. I'm psyching myself up.
But what are you psyching yourself up for? That's the question.
I'm about to fire at one of these stormtroopers. That's
okay. From where you're at, the stormtroopers aren't in range. There are local constables in range down below you. From where you're at, the stormtroopers and the ISB agents are basically long range from you. They're like, I guess it could be medium range. You have a medium range pistol.
Yes.
Some of them are just short. So yeah, okay. You could take a pot shot at one of them then. At some stormtroopers or an ISB agent.
Absolutely. Difficulty 2?
Difficulty 2 if you're shooting at a stormtrooper, yeah.
Great.
Nice.
I'll take it.
You have a regular blaster pistol, so that's 9 damage?
Yeah, it's 9 total. Yep.
Can I has that advantage?
And you drop a stormtrooper.
Aha.
Do you want to pass the advantage as a boost, or do you want to do something else with it?
Absolutely. Pass it to whoever's next. I'm not even paying attention to to what else is going on. I'm like, shut the door, there's some still standing. Boom, drop back down going, oh dear God. This is not what I wanted to do. This is not what I wanted to do.
I imagine you up there with like an inhaler. You're like,
yes.
It's full of
water. He's a Mon Cal, so it may be a water bottle.
Yeah.
It pours it over his gills.
Question.
Okay.
So he's engaged with Chris right now. How far away is that from me?
From you at this point, short.
Okay, good. I'm going to ask permission to roll a skullduggery to place a live grenade in the beautiful fabric clothing he has. Maybe a pocket, or because I literally just want to walk up behind him and go boom, stick it to him.
So yeah.
Did I play too much Skyrim or Fallout where I get to like, is that what's going on?
I'll give you the attempt to do that. Let's see here. since it's skullduggery, like if you were going to be doing this as like a ranged, light, and engaged, it would be difficulty 2. So I'm going to say that.
Well, do we want to just do that then? Because I'd have to roll that anyway. So.
Well, basically, I'll let you do skullduggery, but I want to make sure that it doesn't overpower the combat stats. So I'm going to make it +1 difficulty to do it with skullduggery, but that just means he won't notice it if you're successful, like that you did.
It's not going to give me any bonuses or anything.
You
know what? I'll just throw it. Then
Okay.
I'll stay where I am.
Whether it gives bonuses would be dependent on if you roll some advantages or a triumph or something like that in my mind. So.
Right. And at short range, it's 1 difficulty, but he's an adversary, so it's red.
Yeah.
2
so
black
red.
because of his defense.
No, it's 1 black for range. He's got 2 melee defense.
What is it since I'm engaged with him?
It doesn't add to the difficulty. It just means if he triggers the blast, then you're engaged with him.
Shit.
Don't worry. I won't trigger the blast. I'm not.
I mean, he can't roll successes and advantages on the same roll so far tonight, so it probably doesn't matter. I mean,
True.
Son of a bee! I hate this game. All right. So, I guess the advantages is that the grenade bounces off of him and lands harmlessly in the bushes where it doesn't hurt anybody.
okay.
Because it's not like I pull the pin and the grenade just doesn't blow up. That's
Okay. We could. I mean, that's fine. I was thinking, like, as the mechanics of that, we'll say that the 2 advantages, because that can inflict a setback on someone. So we can say that as you threw it, he dropped basically below it, and it just sailed over him. And he's going to have a setback, though, as dodging the grenade after already being hit by one distracts him a little bit. So he'll have a setback on his roll.
I approve.
I would imagine you would, since there's a lightsaber coming for you, Chris.
Yep. Hey, on the bright side, I do have my sense, which I do have the strength upgrade to upgrade it twice.
Nice.
So.
All right. Let's see, that's all 3 of you this round, right?
Yep.
All right, so the bad guys go. Stormtroopers are shooting at insurgents in the crowd. Insurgents in the crowd are shooting back at them. Some people die on both sides. The ISB agents will shoot at the freaking grenade tosser, because that's going to become a problem. They are at short range. Do you have any range defense?
I've got defense. Yep, 1.
Okay. So the 4 of them are shooting at you. So that's it's carbine, so that's 10 wounds coming your way. And then the triumph will be a crit, because why not? 69. That's a good number. Let's see, that one is... Scattered senses. You remove all boost from skill checks until the end of the encounter. You got shot in the head, basically. Or you were like jumping from it and you rattle and you knock your noggin against the ground or something like that. Either way. So you don't get any boosts for the rest of the encounter.
I'm also at 1 wound.
Oh.
Seeing the injuries of the old man, and the fact that the door is closing and most of the stormtroopers are trying to get outside of it while the ISB agent and the guy in red are falling back inside of it. The human and the Rhodian that came to your aid, Chris, the human grabs your left bicep and tugs you back away from the guy in red with the red lightsaber. Says, "We got to go. This is escalating too quickly." And the Rhodian, we're going to say, is going to fall back and he's going to see the injuries to the old man, and he produces a stim pack and hits you with it, James. And this guy has 1 rank of the stim pack specialization, so you get 6 wounds back. And he says something in Rhodese. You're not really sure what, but he's running down the stairs, like after injecting you, just making like a bat out of hell, basically, realizing that this has gotten way too hairy now.
I think for flavor text, are we out of combat or?
No, not technically. But if you want to do something in response to that, by all means.
For flavor context, and just so everybody knows what my plans are and they're not waiting up for me, Bengar would be the last one out. So he's going to provide cover fire as everybody runs off the steps.
The last one to act this round is the Moncal youngling, who, seeing the stormtroopers coming out and the guy with the red lightsaber falling back, charges through the doorway as it's closing. And you all can hear as the doors are closing, and they're almost to the point where, like, you can take a few pot shots through the doors type thing, but basically the doors are closed enough. You hear the clash of lightsabers from the other side of the door as the door closes. And with that, we will fall out of combat rounds, even though there is cleanup as the insurrectionists are scrambling away, and there are some stormtroopers still alive trying to take as many of them out while staying safe as they can, basically. But the stormtroopers fall back up against the door type thing, and they're just like defensive formation type thing and shooting anyone who's still shooting back at them type. Of the original 20, they're down to 11 of them that are standing up there by the door. And you can see out in the crowd, there's a lot of dead bodies and a lot of people laying flat still. But you can see the insurrectionists and the rabble-rousers that have weapons are starting to make towards a particular street out of the... they're all funneling a particular way towards the east, which seems unusually organized. But then you notice that the local security that is there have ripped off their badges, but they're in the uniform, and they're providing covering fire towards the other security to where the insurrectionists are actually escaping through that street. So, what do you guys do at that point?
Bengar stands up. Well, I guess he was standing already, but he runs over to the fallen and sees if there's any children or women laying on the ground or anything like that.
Okay. We'll say you find an injured adolescent.
Well, I just, all in all, like, are they...
Oh, there's definitely some.
Did they run or... Okay. I'm going to try to roll a leadership to convince them to run to the coffee shop for safety.
Okay. I'm going to make that a difficulty of 1 red, 1 purple. Because the Imperials told them, just lay on the ground and we will save you. So you're fighting against the Imperials, so it's pretty difficult to convince them.
I know that the Imperials aren't telling the truth.
Right.
Would you say that's the end?
They don't necessarily know that.
Is an encounter a battle, or is that this for a session?
Encounter is like a battle or a social encounter or whatever.
Yeah, so I will try to convince them. Hopefully they listen. In fact, I'm thinking about... No, I might as well not do that. I'm already maxed out. Here we go, guys. Hopefully I get 1 success.
All right. So you were trying to get some of the people that were laying down and or injured to scramble to the coffee shop. So you don't get anyone to do that. And we'll say you take a strain in the process as you're making your way out as well. Do you have anything you want to do at the Triumph, or if not, I've got an idea. So.
No, I mean, if they're not going to listen to me, fuck them. I'm going to run for the run the same way that the resistance were heading.
Okay.
trying to provide cover fire. But this is clearly so disorganized that these people don't follow commands. They're overburdened with fear. They're not going to listen. They're only
Well, you
worried
get the
about
idea, like, because the resistant, the rioters, basically, the ones that actually have the weapons, are falling back in an organized pattern. So they're somewhat organized. But
right. That's why I'm
the
following
random
them.
people aren't. So
Yeah, don't join a protest about political rights if you're not organized. So he's basically abandoning them. And
okay. With the Triumph, though, I'm going to say that about a half dozen people that were laying on the ground hop up and start following you out. You see a couple of them are adolescents. You see one guy that is about your age who gets up from where he was laying on the ground as he was covering someone else, and as he's running after you, can see his shirt is blood soaked, but it does not appear to be his blood. You see an elderly woman following you as well, but you get about a half dozen or so that are following you that are not armed. They weren't already following towards the resistance. They're following you out, basically. So you don't motivate the injured or whatever to go hide in the cafe, but with the Triumph, you actually have motivated, or you've galvanized a few people who have lost, basically, in the midst of this mess. So
if that's the case, then as I'm going to motion them through and say, follow those men right there. Keep going. And I'm just going to kind of usher them, because I have to go back to the cafe at some point for my backpack.
So you think. All right. Chris and Jim, what are y'all doing?
Bertali, because the guy kind of tugged at her and they obviously have already helped her, she's going to take their advice and actually go with them and thank them. But there is kind of almost a tear because she knows what's most likely going to become of the Mancala.
Okay.
I pop back over with my gun, see everybody scattering, put it away, immediately unplug, just power off completely, get everything away from what I've gotten into, hide it, slide down the fire escape, and the people who seem to be running off organized, I'm pretty sure I did a lot to help them out, and
hopefully, maybe.
And I got a feeling that they're gonna need somebody like me later. I mean, did you not just see me hack into that Imperial mansion? I am currently the shit.
Either they'll think I did, or the Imperials will think you did help them. One of the two. Either way, that seems the way to go, right?
Well, the doors are shut, so the Imperials are not gonna be so keen on me coming up and knocking. Hey,
right.
So I'm gonna follow the people who are organized, especially those two people, the old dude and the young chick who I was accidentally helping out.
Okay, sounds good.
Because
so
maybe they'll accidentally throw
your way. Running through, they run a couple of blocks, and there are several speeders there waiting, and they load up. And basically, since they lost people, there's plenty of room for the new recruits that our old man brought, and the three of you. And you get the idea, they don't all seem to know each other. It was organized, but not friends, basically. So they're just loading up, and some people hop behind the sticks of the speeder trucks or bikes or buses or whatever the case may be, and they start speeding away from through the streets, heading out of town.
Is there a speeder nearby?
You're able to hop at something easily enough.
Perfect.
So as you guys make your way out of town, we'll say the three of you happen to wind up in the same speeder truck type thing, since y'all were bringing up the rear with some of the fresh recruits that were following the old man. But you guys are making your way out of town, and with that, we're going to go to a quick bathroom break and fresh drink break and that sort of thing. And we'll pick up in about 5 minutes.
Good deal.
That's good.
I'm back whenever you guys are.
Yep.
James, are you back? Or
Yes,
Jim?
sir.
Okay. Jim messaged me, said he's gonna be a minute, so we could go ahead and start without him. All right, so with that, we're going to kind of fast forward a bit. The speeder vehicles make their way out of town completely, and they actually converge on a small village that is actually in the ocean. It's one of the aquatic villages, like sitting on top, kind of like Mon Cal villages do in the Clone Wars type thing. But part of the village is below the water as well. And these vehicles all end up parking in a almost like a hangar type thing, to where they're not visible from surveillance. In the vehicle with you guys, you see a couple people who are injured and other people that are providing first aid type stuff for them. No one's really talking a whole lot. That's kind of a somber, frustrated type atmosphere. What do you guys do during that time? Do you just kind of watch and ride, or do you do anything in particular during that period?
Well, my backpack was left behind, right?
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very bitter. I was going to do some medical work on myself, but our hasty retreat did not permit that, as I have none of my equipment.
Got your trusty weapon, basically.
my trusty weapon and my climber's kit with my climber's armor. That's about it.
Nice.
Bertali's actually gonna, because she's in the vehicle with the two guys that were with her, right?
The human is. The Rhodian is in a different vehicle.
Okay, and because I'm a terrible player, what was his name again?
Bengar.
Yeah. What?
No.
That didn't are.
Oh, I thought you meant my name.
No. The guy that came up along with the Rhodian to help out.
Sexy Eyes.
Yeah, Sexy Eyes. I can't remember. That's all I can remember about him now.
Yeah.
On my notes.
I forgot to write it down because I was a little busy with the
Anyway, you talking to him?
Yeah, she's just gonna kind of turn around and kind of with a half smile, although her eyes are kind of a little half shut because she's still thinking about the Moncala. But she's gonna go, "My name is Bertali," and again, give him kind of that half smile.
He nods to that and he says, "Well, welcome to our movement." He says, "That was not the greatest first showing, but or first major showing, but hey, most of us got out of there."
Everything has a beginning.
And the Moncal Slicer and the old man can hear that exchange between the two younger humans. You can see that it seems a couple of the other people that are in the vehicle with you guys recognize the guy that Chris's character is talking to, and they are deferring to him a bit, and you can catch like looks of admiration and respect and that sort of thing. But a lot of people seem kind of down because things did not go very well in some people's opinion. So as you guys get to this little seaside or sea-top village, people are unloading from the various vehicles. Those that have more serious injuries are being met by people with makeshift carriers, like old cot carriers, to carry them down into medical bay area. Those who don't have serious injuries but are injured are met by like some first aid personnel with stim packs. If you're still looking pretty injured, James, they will offer you a stim pack.
Yeah, I'm at just above 50%.
Okay, they'll hit you with another one. This guy doesn't have stim pack specialization, so it just feels 4.
Is there a chance we can roll cool if we lost strain?
Yeah. Cool or discipline to recover strain if you're down some.
Yeah, I just remembered I might want to do that since I'm missing 6. Let's see. Do I want to? Let's see. We get. Well, nah. I'd rather stick with cool.
Sweet. As you guys are exiting, you can hear the human talking to a couple of people, and those who you saw that followed you, James, that don't have weaponry and whatnot. So he's talking to them basically and says, "Well, welcome to the Manta, or as the Imperials call us, the terrorists." And you notice that most of the group of people that are getting off the various vehicles are aliens. The humans only make up about 25% of the population in the area as you guys are getting out of the hangars and whatnot, or out of the ships into the hangar. So the 6 that followed you, James, they stick close to you though. They're not following the others deeper into the compound unless you go with them or whatever. So
no, Bengar wouldn't go with them. Instead, he goes down to a knee and looks at some of the children, makes sure they're okay, and then addresses the group. Is anyone hungry? Are you guys thirsty?
the kids that followed you, we'll say of the six, three of them were like underage. They're probably all teens. We'll say there's one Quarren, one human, and one Nautilin amongst the three of them. They tell you that no, we're not. We're really confused, and the old man who's about your age starts helping you kind of keep them together, and what was that? The old woman kind of helps console them. Basically, you get the idea that all six of them lost someone in the firefight, and they don't believe the Imperials are actually going to do anything about it. From the sounds of it, so the of them, the Manta group, as they call themselves, are trying to help out as well. Since you kind of seem to be a natural leader amongst those who weren't a part of the group, the Sexy Eyes, as he's been being called, you find out very quickly that he is actually the leader of the group. And he says, that's some mighty fine shooting you had there. Saying that to James's character, of course, because you were the only one of the shooting. Ignores him.
Yep. Just
he just kind of looks at you at that. We're trying to help the citizens of this world.
Oh, well, then you did a fantastic job back there.
Well, what would you have done then? Just let them sequester the non-humans? Imprison them?
No, actually, I probably would have stationed my troops in the bordering buildings, used them as cover, and helped me actually try to organize and bring the group back into a central behavior, instead of just standing among them and letting them panic and throw rocks and be disorganized.
Looking up from my computer a bit of a distance away. Wow. So he knows what he's talking about.
The charmer is like, well, I don't pretend to be a military man, but I'm trying.
Bengar stands up. First lesson, and takes blood on his hands from the wounded that he was overlooking and rubs them on his shirt. These are the people that fell because of your ignorance. Learn from it.
He kind of looks down at the shirt and looks up at you. So why'd you get involved then? You could have just left or not shot back at the Imperials.
You're right, but the moment that I saw that they were willing to open fire on a crowd with children in it, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. I was staying out of it.
He kind of gives a sigh at that and kind of looks past you to Chris's character. Yeah, I really need to get like overlays or something again. But
Retali.
Yeah, looks over at you and he says, so are you crazy charging stormtroopers with a knife, or are you really just that good?
She kind of just looks at him and kind of gauges him for a minute. Actually, I'd like to use, since I don't have to use sense anymore for combat, I'd like to use sense to sense his thoughts.
Okay, do you just have the basic power, or do you have the actual sense surface thoughts upgraded?
I have sense thought. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and roll it.
You guys mind if I flip it?
It's up to you, man.
Yeah.
I just hate doing it for stuff like this, but yeah, okay, we're gonna flip it because I want to know what he's
Okay.
thinking.
You kind of push your way in to hear his surface thoughts, and he basically, you pick up on the fact that he is trying to put on a brave face and that he is pretty upset with how the mission went. You get the idea that something went completely wrong in what they had planned. And he was blaming himself before what James's character said to him, and now he's like just trying to keep it together in front of people, basically.
Okay. So Bertali's just gonna kind of smile, and just go. I've had a little practice over the years, but So tell me, I doubt you actually wanted any of this to happen. So what were you actually trying to do here today?
Well, we were ready for a protest, and we were ready in case things took a bad side, but that Jedi that showed up kind of took things too far. I don't know why they drew their lightsaber with the way the Imperials have demonized them. It made things more violent than it possibly could have been.
To mention the Moncala, she's just gonna her eyes will kind of close a little bit more
Okay.
in thought about it, but
James, did you pick up on what was said there? Okay. He says,
I think the only reaction you get out of Bengar is that he scoffs.
okay. He kind of looks at you. Listen, not everyone there was part of our group. I mean, it got out of hand. That wasn't supposed to be how it went down. But
You know what I've noticed is that some of the people on this trip regarded you as a leader. Some of them regarded you as an equal. Which is it? What's your chain of command?
Right now, I'm...
Whose orders do they follow?
He says, well, the ones that rode back with us other than your crew here follow my commands. But the Jedi wasn't part of our group. And if you guys want to make a perception check.
If it would help the perception check, he's going to narrow his eyes and say, not part of your group. He pressed a button that activated audio equipment that was attached to members inside protest.
And with that, I'm going to give you guys 2 boost dice. It'll be difficulty 2 purple and a black.
Wash.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
is there any chance I can pass my boost die on to Jim and let him roll another boost?
Jim washed, so he's going to roll again with a boost and a setback added on to the mix. Maybe.
1 green, 1 yellow, 2 purple, 3 blue, 2 black.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So Jim, like as the old man is pointing out that there was people with speakers and whatnot, as you kind of glanced around, you realized that the Quarren that you guys saw that was making the way around the edge, and you don't see anyone in the group like that's coming out of the that's in the hangar, like anywhere, that has those speaker devices on them at all. So none of the, like, there would have been 4 people with speaker devices, and then the quorum that as well. So there's 5 individuals, and you're not seeing any of them. I mean, they could have all been shot, but considering how many of them made it out of there, apparently it would have been a statistical anomaly for all 5 of those people to be shot.
Is there maybe a chance that there's another, I guess, sect in this city or on this planet trying to do the same thing? Or, you know, what makes sense too is that maybe the Imperials are onto your little shindig, and they're trying to get everybody else against you to see what kind of bad people you are. I mean, being honest with you, that's probably the direction I'd go if I was Imperial.
You get quite a few people looking at you like, and you suddenly are very happy that you are not human, because you're pretty sure they would start a lynching right now after a comment like that if you could be mistaken as an Imperial.
I'm going to back him up, and I'm going to say that would make complete sense considering the ISB was present. An intelligence bureau like that, there's got to be some sort of spy network.
Spy network?
Totally, under breath is going to kind of mention, not to mention him, as in reference to the Dark Jedi.
I mean, the door's shut with whatever those things were behind there. Who's to know if I mean, you could hear fighting going on, but heck, on the other side of the door, they could for fun and nobody would know.
So if anyone wants to, you can make a perception check to kind of get the reaction of those present. As I'm going to say that Chris, you don't need to make a perception check, as you can feel it in the Force, as the implications of what these two are saying kind of washes over the group. You can feel the uncertainty and fear in the room.
Okay.
That possibility. The leader type is like, well, that would mean that we might have a traitor amongst us.
My friend, I wouldn't be surprised if you were set up. Now, if you were set up, there's probably some sort of communication going on between them. More than likely, it's probably one of the humans around here, because, I mean, hell, I wouldn't be caught dead talking to those people. Well, I don't know. Maybe I would be caught dead, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, who do you have around here working your comms?
He says, well,
how about your computers? I mean, you've got data, right?
right. I mean, we've got a couple of consoles and a few communications devices and such.
Point me over there real quick.
All right.
Like this one right here?
Like, most of the group is still like doing the recovering thing, but him and about 3 others, the Rhodian that was beside him during the fight, and there's an older Nautilin. The 3 of them kind of lead you, and assuming the other 2 of you want to go along, towards another part of the, like, out of the hangar and into another part of the complex, basically, towards I mean, it's not a military installation, so obviously it's not like there's only this communications network, but at least this is like their central hub of where their tower is, basically, because they're far enough from the main city. Like, the long range transceiver here would relay stuff. So
yeah, you think? Here, watch me. Go. Nothing up my sleeve. Can I see if I can get into this?
they motion for you to give it a shot, basically.
Cool. I've got Codebreaker. Attempts to remove a setback from attempts to break codes or decrypt comms.
Okay.
I'm going to check their security. I want to see how easy it is to get into their systems.
Okay. So give me a difficulty 2 with 3 setback. But then you've got Codebreaker, which removes a setback, or does it lower the difficulty? I can't remember which.
It removes a setback, and I think it lowers the difficulty.
Right. So for you, pretty easy.
So you said it was 1 purple and 2 black, or 3 black?
2 purple, 3 black base before your talents hit it.
Okay. So I've already lowered it, and there you go.
So within a minute, you're in their system and start surfing around, basically. I mean, it is a decent security. Obviously, you've probably sliced more secure places. I mean, you bust into the Imperials and whatnot. They're more secure, and higher end companies and stuff would have. But for being a little village, it's a decently secure network. But
okay. Fish around and see if I can find anything that might, any evidence of a mole. And then after I'm done looking in there, I want to try to help their security.
Okay. Give me a computers check. Difficulty of 2 red. All right. You, as you're messing through things, you find a few anomalies. The bulk of the communications are handheld comms units that are relayed through the tower to wherever they're communicating with, but that's not unusual. But you do discover a signal that catches your attention. There is a long range unit that wouldn't need to go through the relay, but that is bouncing off the relay. And what caught your attention about it is that it's doing so for 60 seconds every 4 days for the last month.
Huh. All right. Can I investigate that or shut it off?
Well, you haven't found, like, you just found the signal where it hits the relay, like the comms tower that you got here. And with the threats, like, you can't figure out. Well, the fact that it's so reliable tells you that there's probably some automation involved, but beyond that, you're not sure why that pattern or anything like that. So,
hey, do you know about this? What is this over here? Calling over one of the guys.
The whole time you've been working, the Nautilin guy is like looking over your shoulder. You get the idea that he understands part of what you're doing, but you're actually a slicer. He's just got some computer skills, basically.
Well, I mean, you should know what this is. Like, this is your information and your material, and
He says, I haven't seen it before. I mean, it's not anything I've done or anything that I've been a part of helping organize.
Okay. Any chance I could block that until I figure out what it is?
No, without knowing what it is. The fact that it's a more powerful signal makes it where you're not sure you could block it, and you definitely wouldn't be able to without shutting down the entire communications network.
Got it.
Because it's the most powerful signal interacting with this thing, basically.
Gotcha. Then do something to beef up their security then.
Okay.
Maybe
start working on that.
Yeah.
Bengar kind of calls from behind. Why?
Why what? You mean
shut down their comms? All of them. We organize the strike right now. Shut down the comms. Their little insider can't tell them, and we will catch them off guard.
But this is a good system. I mean, they don't know what they're doing completely, but that's not bad. I mean, just wait a second.
The human that's kind of been in the leads is like, if you can't figure out what it is, shut it down for now. We can always turn it back on later, right?
Oh,
he says that with a question at the end of the right, though, because, like, I mean, it's just pressing buttons and flipping switches as far as I can tell.
Bengar turns on his heel towards leader and says, we'll give him some time. Go ahead and leave the comms open. Try to figure it out. I'll give you 15 minutes. Then shut him down.
Okay.
He nods a bit to that. Sounds good.
I will ignore. I already know that I can't find him, but I'm not going to let him know that. I'm going to spend the 15 minutes buffing security.
See what you can find, basically.
Yeah.
You do figure out as you're looking through the records that the signal may have more depth than a month. You're not sure, but the records, it looks like the information for this station started a month ago. So, like, if either this information was dumped or wiped, or it was just established, then you're not sure which.
Can I set up an algorithm that starts to just absorb information from that signal every time it comes up? I mean, I know it's not going to be enough to get now, but over the course of a couple of weeks, it might be enough to figure out what's going on.
So you want to try to set up something to at least piggyback and see what's being said as much as possible, or what's being transferred, if it still transfers somehow. You turning it off, or if one power backup. Yeah, setting up a program like that, though, it's not going to be something you do in 15 minutes. That's going to be several days of work probably to get that set up accurately.
Well, I have a side project then.
Yeah, you got something to work on in addition to figuring how to set up the network better and all that good stuff. So
I mean, I'm going to change them from the basic internet to having a WPA password. Like, I'm going to basically it's the equivalent of, this thing was set up by someone who went to the community college for a few networking classes and that kind of thing, which is enough to get something set up. Yeah.
And to get you going, but it's not enough to be a full-on rebel movement type setup. So basically, like, when you start working on that, the Nautilin basically he kind of sits down beside you, and he doesn't really, tries not to bother you with questions, but he's like, he's asking more along the lines of, what is it that does, as he's watching you. You get the idea he understands enough of what you're doing to learn from it. Yeah. But sometimes you do something where he's just like, I don't know what you just did.
More like, why? Why did you do that? I know what it is. Why did you do that?
Right.
Absolutely. Right. And at that part, I start kind of smiling, and I kind of slip into my element.
Right. And I mean, like, the questions he asks are, why didn't you do it this way? And you're like, oh, well, and you get the idea. I mean, basically, it's the equivalent of someone who actually went to a major university for computer science being asked questions by someone who went to a community college.
Yeah.
And you get the idea, he's got a good base to work from, but you've got more advanced techniques and whatnot. So,
good deal.
All right. So while that's going on, the Moncal and the Nautilin are busy for a good 15 minutes, and then have to power things down as ordered type thing. What are you other two doing during that period?
I want to corner the leader with Chris by my side, since Chris is a warrior.
Okay.
Listen.
I was going to stick with him anyway, so.
Yeah. We need to come together on this, and you need to understand something. You find it a little far-fetched that you've been betrayed, but when I was a battalion leader, my entire battalion betrayed me and gunned down every Jedi that was fighting alongside of us. So,
he gives a gulp at that, and he says, I don't find it hard to believe there is a traitor. I mean, that's what happens in the Hollow novels.
He kind of shuts him up. Your position is to listen. This is the problem with your group. You lack discipline. There's a point to me saying this. You need to go out and find every able-bodied man. If there's a Mon Calamari man out there that would fight, I need him in the hangar right now. I don't care if he's part of the group, and I don't care if he wants to stay neutral. They have targeted this place. They are going to burn this place first, should things go bad. So every able-bodied citizen who wasn't at war with the Empire before is at war with them now, because this is the first place they're coming.
I said everyone that lives here or is stationed here is committed to the cause. Most of them have lost someone or...
Excellent. Have them meet us in the hangar. We're going to whip them into shape and establish a chain of command. And you need to stop being so unsure of yourself. Quit pussy farting around. Take control of the wheel. Order the troops. Strike discipline. Expect results. Because it sounds to me like you didn't know what to expect when you went there today.
He kind of looks at you a moment, and you realize, like, in his eyes, you can see he still doesn't know what to expect in that regard. Like, you're talking full on military.
Yeah.
And he is not full on military. And actually, as you look at him, like, by attire and everything, like, he does not have the look of a military man.
You're pretty handy with the pistol, right?
Says I try to be. I'm good with words. And
good with words. Go with pistol. Your Rhodium friend, does he compliment you well? Looks like he's good with medicine.
Right, yeah, he's been to school and stuff. I mean, like, he says, I worked at the news station before they...
Right, but I saw you shoot.
Yeah.
You're a good shot. You're a good shot. He's a good medical officer. Do you have any civil engineers among the Mon Calamari?
Like builders? Yeah, we've got some people that have done the repairs.
They probably know something about demolitions and mechanics. Do you have anyone who works with electronics?
He points at the Nautilin, and he says there's a couple of others that are working in the... what?
Who lays wires underwater?
Says some of the engineers do that kind of thing.
Here's what we need you to do. I need you to start organizing your fighting force into groups. Someone who's a good shot, someone who hunts. I know the Mon Calamari are proficient hunters. I want a hunter in the group. I want somebody who understands xenobiology, medical in a group. I want an engineer in the group. I want somebody who's capable with electronics in the group. We're going to start making little squads of 4 people. Okay. And then we're going to select somebody in charge in each of that group. And no matter what he says, everybody else has to do it. And then they're going to report to you, and you're going to report to me. You got it?
He nods to that.
Go.
And with that, like, montage scene starts as, like, that's exactly what starts happening. And like, this would be like in Rebels when they start playing the beginnings of the Rebel theme music type thing, as things try to get organized. There's definitely some hit or miss type moments, and there's that old lady is feisty, and she picks up a gun and starts trying to learn how to hit it. You get the idea she's blind in one eye, though, so they switch to stun baton for her so that she doesn't hit someone. But with the idea that anyone who's willing to fight and able to help basically is helping. Even the kids start learning how to, like, carry extra ammo packs back and forth between people, or
runners,
whatever they can do. So, like, it doesn't take long for y'all to start making some ground. And
as soon as he leaves, though, to go do his montage,
yeah,
Bengar turns to Chris. You're a damned fool. I forget her name. I don't know her name, so.
Bertali.
No, I mean,
yeah.
I don't think you'll actually.
Girly girl, you know, you're a damn fool. I saw the way you fight. You don't fight with your brain. You don't fight with your heart. You fight as if you're drawn by another exterior source. Like, you're reaching out for advice and it's pulling the strings. And I've seen that form of combat before.
She'll kind of look at him with this more hard look than she's had for the whole day, and just kind of go, "You're not the only one that was a relic from the wars."
Good. I'll need you by my side. I fought side by side with Jedi. It's what I'm accustomed to.
All right.
Not at him.
Fairly quickly, this is kind of where we're gonna fade into the end of the one shot at this point. You guys establish yourselves between the three of you as the three of you plus that human and Rhodian end up being the leaders of this planet's Phoenix Squadron, basically, like the equivalent thereof. Obviously, it's centered around this system as years go on and that sort of thing. It will, over time, you guys would get a better idea out of character, like what the Rhodian and this human skill set are. The human, by the way, is a propagandist. That's what his base specialization was. That's why he's like, we were there to, like, do stuff. Like he wasn't trying to fight, really. The Rodian is a smuggler medic, though. A smuggler, scoundrel, and medic. So he ends up being the leader of like the medical division type thing. So you guys end up whipping this place into a rebel cell that eventually ends up joining the Alliance. So for the tide change, much as I've done with the other prequels games, the tide change for this one-shot is what ramifications from this mission end up impacting the assault on the Inquisition. And we will discuss that off the air after we end the broadcast, as far as what the tide change will be, and put that on the poll. To anyone watching now or in the future, thank you for watching. If you are watching recently enough to vote in the tide change, be sure to do so. This coming Saturday, we've got the last of the prequel one-shots as that group tries to take on capturing a Star Destroyer. And then on May the 4th, next Thursday, we've got the assault on Inquisition base, which our de facto leader of this rebel cell, played by James, will be partaking in. So look forward to seeing anyone there, and may the Force be with you.